From Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, Case 17, Story 17, Stingy in Teaching. A young physician in Tokyo named Kusuda met a college friend who'd been studying Zen. The young doctor asked him what Zen was. "I can't tell you what it is," the friend said, "but one thing is certain, if you understand Zen, you will not be afraid to die." If you understand Zen, you will not be afraid to die. That's a big statement. So, if we look at that question about dying, it's about the future and some experience that we may or may not have or think we might have in the future. But if we change it and say, what is it that's alive right now? We have the possibility of answering that question. What is alive right now, and right now, and right now, and right now? And all those other right nows are already gone. That's a really interesting question to ask. Continuing, "That's fine," said Kusuda. "I'll try it, but where can I find a teacher?" "Go to Master Nan-in," the friend told him. So Kusuda went to call on Nan-in. He carried a long dagger, and he was going to test the teacher to determine whether he was afraid to die. When Nan-in saw Kusuda, he exclaimed, "Oh, hello, friend. How are you? We haven't seen each other for a long time," and greeted him warmly. This perplexed Kusuda, who replied, "Well, we've never met before." "Oh, that's right," said Nan-in. "I mistook you for another physician who's receiving instruction here." One of the ways that disarms hostility is kindness. Fear breeds fear, anger breeds anger. When we are confronting or being confronted by hostile people, if we have a sense of fear and separation inside, then it gives them something more to struggle with, to project onto. But if we can greet them with curiosity, with interest, that alone diffuses a lot of situations. So here we've had people show up with guns. And if they're met with curiosity, confidence, warmth, it diffuses what could escalate into a very unpleasant situation. You can't guarantee that, but by and large, that's true. With such a beginning, Kusuda lost the chance to test his master, so he reluctantly asked if he might receive Zen meditation instruction. Nansen said, "Zen is not a difficult task. If you're a physician, treat your patients with kindness. This is Zen." Kusuda visited Nan-in 3 times, and each time Nan-in told him the same thing. Treat your patients with kindness. And then he said, "A physician should not waste time around here. Go take care of your patients." It was not yet clear to Kusuda how such a teaching could remove the fear of death, so on his 4th visit, he complained. "My friend told me that when one learns Zen, one loses the fear of death. Each time I come here, all you tell me is to take care of my patients. I know that much. If that is your so-called Zen, I'm not going to visit you anymore." Nan-in smiled and patted the doctor. "I have been too strict with you." Now just think about this. Somebody comes with a deep fear of death. They ask for help. The teacher says, "Treat your patients with kindness. Treat your patients with kindness." Treat your patients with kindness. Treat everybody with kindness. Treat yourself with kindness. Have kindness infuse your world. But that teaching is easy to say and is hard to manifest. To really be kind to all the parts of us, to really be kind to all the parts of the world, to really be kind to whoever comes. Hard practice. So Nanan said, sorry, I've been too strict with you. I gave you too hard a practice. I gave you a practice that really says ordinary mind is the way, is that koan. Let me give you a different koan. So now he goes back to give him a more orthodox Zen teaching. He presented Kudo with Joshu's mu to work over, which is the first of the mind-enlightening problems in the book called The Gateless Gate. The koan mu, a monk in all seriousness goes to the great Zen master Joshu in ancient China and says, is it true that even such a lowly, decrepit being as a rat has a Buddha nature? And Joshu says, no, a mu. Sometimes he says yes, but in this case, no, mu. And so the koan is, what is that mu? What is that mu? What is that mu? And it's a koan that really is asking, what is Buddha nature? What is true nature? What am I? Who am I? Where does this mu come from? What is the essence of all that? To make everything a question. To make the question your hands and your eyes and your mind is part of that koan, the koan mu. Kusuta pondered this problem of mu for 2 years. At length he thought he'd had certainty of mind. But his teacher said, you're not there yet. And this is a typical thing that happens with people in practice, is they're practicing, especially if they're practicing ardently, especially if they enter samadhi, they enter a concentrated state, they'll have experiences. Interesting things will happen. And it's important that we not take those interesting things as the goal. It's like as you're traveling from Oregon to New York, you pass all kinds of interesting scenery. But if you stop and think, oh yes, Mount Rushmore, that's my goal, you never make it to New York. So there's lots of interesting things that happen in the course of practice. And they're all interesting things to be noted, appreciated, and let go of. His teacher said, you're not there yet. Kusuta continued in concentration for another 1.5 years. This is 3.5 years now. His mind became calm. Problems dissolved. No thing became the truth. He served his patients well and, without knowing it, was free from concern over life and death. Then when he visited Nanin, his old teacher just smiled. Sometimes when fear is driving us, and it's driving us, and our mind becomes calm and still and present, and we are engaged with reality, being kind to other people, helping other people. If we get so interested in being kind and helping other people, with a calm mind, often those extra worries just disappear. And what's left is the reality of this moment. There's a famous Zen teacher who was dying, and his student said, well, give us some last words. And he said, just be kind. Just be kind. Just be kind.